mental well-being. Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
So I think it's
Now is
clear
it
now.
audible?
Yeah, now it's audible. Even the live session got ended in a minute, so it's okay.
Yeah.
We'll start now.
Yeah.
And also, she is associated with different corporates and marine institutes. She has been working to remove the stigma of seeking help for mental health issues by raising awareness. So first of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. It's very nice to have you. And today we will be speaking on self-esteem and body image. And before that, I'd like to say it's a very nice to see your Insta page. It's very informative. Ma'am, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Is it
I can
clear
hear.
now?
Yes. So thank
Okay,
you,
ma'am.
Parisa, for having me here
Okay.
today.
So,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am. So I'd like to ask you, there is become, an increased need of validation, especially due to social media nowadays. How unhealthy it is, to constantly seek validation.
All right. So, you and I think everyone who's joined in, I think we all seek certain kind of validation, right? In some or the other form. It's an innate ability that we know how we are.
Ma'am, just a minute. Your voice is breaking a little. And I'll just
Okay.
ask if, guys, is she clear or am I not able to see? Now it's fine. Yeah, you can continue, ma'am.
Right. So as I was saying that, me, you, and I think everyone who is watching this right now, we seek certain kind of validation, right? How we are, how we want to be like, whether we're fitting into a particular kind of a society that we're setting for ourselves, right? And we're looking for answers. But however, we are using social media as a measuring tool to validate ourselves, right? So it's
Yes.
probably using the number of likes, the number of comments, the number of shares, the number of followers that we have. And then we see, okay, 1,000 followers, okay, is it good enough? Am I famous? And we started to measure as a tool. So if you're using social media as a tool to evaluate your self-worth, probably it's not a good idea. I'm not saying that it's completely wrong, but it turns out very ugly. It can turn out very damaging sometimes, and it turns out in a very unhealthy way, right? So what happens is that what we do, we are looking for likes and shares and comments from people whom probably they don't have an idea about our life, or they don't really even care about what we are doing, right? It's a formality culture that we have set for ourselves. So sometimes I've also seen people, pressing like because they are like my picture, so I have to like my picture. I have to like their picture. It's a to and fro transaction
Yeah,
that
it's become more
plays.
of a,
Right.
yeah,
It's a formal thing. If she has not liked my picture, I would not like her picture. It's a calculative likes and dislikes that you're actually throwing at each other. So at the end, what do you think? Is it like really real, or is it just a fake thing that's taking place more often now? So there are like 1,000 people, probably 10 to 20 people really care about you, right? But the rest 800
mm-hmm.
might not even know you, right? Might not even just they're just connected
Yeah,
because you're from some place or the other. But we are hungry to, seek that likes, seek that comments, and we feel so disheartened, right? The moment we don't get a like from a particular person that we have waiting for the longest period of time, right? That sometimes, she has not liked my picture yet, and you're constantly scrolling down and refreshing the pages just to wait for those likes. And all of a sudden, when you don't get the amount of likes that you expected, you feel disheartened. Your self-esteem is totally destroyed, right? It just gets into your head that am I good enough? Or if I'm not getting these numbers, if my friend got so many likes, am I that pretty? Am I that handsome? Right? Why the my friend is getting so many comments on her picture? So that creates a sense of disparity with our own self, right? We are
mm-hmm.
actually doing is we are seeking uh, we are what we do is we see a one good picture. We don't know what is happening in other people's life. If I put a camera right
Yes.
in front, what would happen? You would smile, but probably your day was not good. Probably you had the worst day possible. You didn't get sleep, but the moment a camera is pointed at you, probably you just smile, And the rest of the things people are not aware about, that you had a bad day, you were struggling with a lot of things, you were feeling negative. But what would people perceive? People would perceive, what kind of life is so perfect. Uh, she looks so pretty all the time.
Yes.
And that's a vicious cycle that we really like get into. So you're actually comparing your real life with someone else's real life. Right? It's like you just see a snapshot of all their good memories, and that's it. And we're comparing just that with our whole life altogether, with our whole self altogether. So I think you lose your identity if you're constantly measuring what you are as a person on the basis of that. So it's pretty unhealthy if you're using this tool as to know who you really are. So yeah.
Okay. So can you explain the term self-esteem?
Yes, of course. So self-esteem is basically how it's a subjective evaluation about yourself. What kind of regard do you hold for yourself? How much you respect for yourself? How much respect you have for yourself? What is it? How you see yourself via your own lenses, right? So that is where personal worth, self-worth comes when we're talking about self-esteem. Yeah.
Okay. So what is the importance of self-esteem?
So if I ask everybody here who's tuned in, what would happen that the inner chatter that you have with yourself constantly, right? Which tells you you're good or bad, or you're good or bad. So if it's constantly negative, right? How do you really strive ahead, right? So if your inner chatter is just telling you you're not good, bad, whatever you're doing is completely wrong, and what happens? You would be disheartened, you will feel low, you will get vulnerable to all the negativity around, right? And that in itself would make you not want to live the life that you had imagined for yourself. Right? And so if you're having healthy self-esteem, you feel about yourself, you know what's your worth, what's your value. Probably you will be in a better position to handle the adversities of your life. You would not be a people pleaser, I would say. You would know what you want in life, right? You would know what you need. You can make fast decisions. You would not want everybody to tell you what you have to do all the time. And that empowers you, that gives a sense of empowerment, right? So having a healthy self-esteem is just having a constant positive inner talk, inner dialogue, the inner things that we all be talking, right? If that is positive in nature, probably have the most positive experiences in your life, and you'll be healthy, you'll have better relationships. So what I feel is that if you share a good relationship with yourself, right, you would obviously would really share a very nice healthy relationship with people around, with life around, and that in itself just sets a tone for your life, which is healthy, positive, optimistic in nature. So yeah.
Okay. So that is very beautifully explained, and it's also confused with overconfidence. Can you just elaborate on that?
Right. So yes, you're actually right that we do interchangeably use these two terms, right? That's self-confidence and that's self-esteem, right? Which is commonly used interchangeably now. The difference is that, if I just say this line, if it makes sense, is that you can be confident, but you may still suffer with low self-esteem or low self-worth, right? So as I shared before, that self-esteem is your subjective evaluation about yourself, how you look at yourself, how you feel about yourself, right? However, self-confidence is, for example, you can be very good at math, you can be very good at dancing, you can be very good with public speaking or probably singing, dancing, whatever, right? But you may still suffer from low self-esteem. You may still feel that you're not valued enough, right? So your self-confidence from situation to situation. It's the belief that you hold about yourself that you can perform a particular skill, right? However, subjective evaluation about yourself, about what you hold as a personal worth is what we call as self-esteem. So that's the difference.
Okay. Fine. Okay. So there's something called body shaming, and what are the deleterious effects of it on mental health? It's a very common problem that our society is facing, and I'd really like you to, speak about it.
Yes, that's actually sadly there, very prevalent and very severely impacting people around. Right. So, just clarity about what is body shaming, right? So, body shaming is you're actually demeaning, criticizing, or judging a person on the basis of the physical appearance, right? Uh, what it could be on the basis of your size, body weight, hair, physical features, waist size, height, right? So you constantly find people saying, you're so short-heighted, you are so chotu, I've come across a lot of adolescents who are very irritated with the fact that when people call them chotu, right?
Yeah.
And that's how they interact. But we do tend to take it very casually, but people are actually massively affected by these comments, right? So, ye kitni kali hai,
Yes.
she's so dark, she can never have a guy or something of that sort. So the idea that you're actually shaming a person, you're demeaning a person on the basis of how they really look. So that clarity is that that is what we call as body shaming. Now, to answer your second question, is that how is it actually impacting your mental health? Right. So if you have a person around in your life, family, friend, colleague, teacher, whoever who's telling you, this is a flaw in you right now. You're not looking good. This is wrong. You should not be, you should not dress up this way. You should dress up this way because it would, you should wear black because you look thin and stuff like that. What would it tell
Hmm.
you? It would just tell you that you're not good enough, right? You're not pretty enough, you're not handsome enough. And that negativity just sinks in, right? I'm not gonna just jump onto the, body image issues would lead to eating disorders. That's something there. But it starts from like little feelings that just compounds, that just stacks up,
Hmm.
and then it leads to a massive impact that we come on to disorder. Right? So a person who's being constantly bullied and have become victim of body shaming, they lose their identity. They don't know who they really are, right? They can't figure out what they like, what they don't like. They cannot decide for themselves what they should wear, how they should look like. They cannot look at themselves in front of the mirror, and that creates a certain kind of dependency on others to tell how you should be like, and to live a life like that is extremely frustrating. You know, I've
Yes.
seen these mothers even and parents, dressing up little kids, uh, 10, 9, who they're putting a makeup on and they're actually uploading a lot of pictures of their, children, and they're very happy and proud of it, which is nice. But you're actually putting up a different idea altogether about what body image, how perfect you have to look. So if my mother, if she would have told me, Aishwarya, you shouldn't look this way. You can't afford this kind of a hairstyle. You can't wear this kind of a color. When the child, they don't know what to do, right? They don't know what they feel about
Hmm.
themselves. The impact starts to actually manifest. That's the starting of how it goes. Right. And post that, when you develop, you may be vulnerable to body image issues. You may be vulnerable to eating disorders. You might be vulnerable to social anxiety. You don't want to step out of the house. Right. You don't want to actually get into gatherings or parties, even despite you have a feeling that I wish I could have gone there, or you just can't afford to step out. So anxiety, depression, body image issues, eating disorders, everything that you can name it right now, that's the impact of body shaming that we can have on ourselves.
Okay. Since you were telling that, let's say adolescent people, mainly them, so they tease each other, it's just done for fun, but it doesn't, they don't know how much it impacts, a particular person. So we might or might not even know that we are, a part of the bullying. So can you please tell us, what we should do to make sure that we don't affect somebody else?
Right. So if you want people to not judge you, then it's high time that we stop doing that ourselves. That's the start, right? So the way you want people to be treated, you have to treat people the other way. So it's not necessary that. So I think to start with, you need to be sensitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like it's very difficult to just say, just don't be no, just don't be judgmental and don't stare at people and stuff like that. But it comes with a lot of practice. It comes with a lot of mindfulness. It comes with a lot of making conscious efforts. So you don't have to judge a person according to their creator, right? If you look, so I find people, they just say, there was this adolescent who came to me, and he
Okay.
told me, ma'am, my brother uh, is very fair and he's very handsome and I am not. And they were actually twin, right? And there was some complexion issues and their parents used to say, ye to aisi nikli, ye to aisa nikla. And from there, she told me, ma'am, I cannot walk out without putting makeup on, and I can't do this and I can't do that. So I asked her to just list down, who do you think who really are pretty? So she gave me that. She opened her Instagram and picked up all the beautiful faces that could be possibly she would have given. And she
Mm-hmm.
asked, do you know about their life? Can you know?
Yes.
Do you know what, this lady that you have actually given a picture about, how much she's struggling in her life and she has her own set of complexes? You're not aware about that. So you're just constantly, you just check, okay, she's pretty, she's handsome, they would be very good. I would say, press a pause there before you make a big judgment about someone. Like, press a pause. Like, take a minute to really, you know, judge around and
Yes.
evaluate.
So,
So I think that's the start there where
yeah,
you
okay. So, okay. So there's another term called body image. So can you explain that and its importance?
yeah. So body image is basically how we think and feel about our body, right? How we see
Okay.
our the mental image that you have about your physical body, right? So it is healthy or unhealthy, right? So if you feel good about your physical appearance, that's said to be have a healthy body image. And if you don't feel good about your physical appearance, that's an unhealthy body image that you possess about yourself. Now, when you say that
Okay.
the importance of body image, well, if you don't feel good about how you look, right? There would be a big discrepancy about what an ideal self and a real self. You would feel uh, negative, right? You would feel these. You won't want to like face your vulnerabilities. You are guarded all the time, right? If you do not have a positive body image, probably you have an eroded self-esteem. That's what I say. Your self-esteem is gone. Your self-confidence is gone. So if you don't feel good with the skin that you're living in, probably it's very difficult for you to survive any kind of adversity, any challenges, make decisions for yourself. And I think this that rounds up to all that we have discussed before.
Yes.
That it just is proportional to self-esteem. That's what I say. So higher the positive the body image you have, the positive self-esteem image you have. So they're interrelated. One of them dips, the other gets impacted. So hence, it's very important
Okay.
to be confident in who you really are. Yeah.
Okay. Can you also explain, there are certain eating disorders, especially, with teenage girls. So can you talk about that?
Well, when we talk about body image and the impact of negative body image on our mental health, right? So you can develop these eating disorders. These are little like what we call as like psychological conditions, clinical conditions, right? Wherein you're indulging into very
Mm-hmm.
erratic eating, unhealthy eating behaviors, right? So you have this false perception about your body, right? And when you have that false perception about your body, even if you're like, you're fine, you're thin, and you're okay, but a person who's struggling with eating disorder, they would feel that very fat. So even a 45 kg or 40 kg person would feel that they're very fat, they would perceive themselves as they're very fat. So that's where the basis of eating disorders is established, right? So there are eating disorders, what we call it anorexia, with bulimia, wherein you indulge into binge eating or you restrict your eating behaviors, right? You
Hmm.
you eat so less, you exercise so much more excessively, which doesn't suit your physical health. You end up ruining your physical health to the point that you actually develop chronic conditions, right? And people indulge into purging activities, stress eating, binge eating. If you're indulging into that, I would say go and seek therapy for the same, because that excessive, if it's actually having a false image, is hampering your daily routine. It's not allowing you
Okay.
to allowing you to focus on anything. Then probably it's time that you consult someone to seek help for the same. Yeah.
Okay. So, coming to the most important part of this session, so give us some tips and advice on how to, deal with low self-esteem and how to boost our confidence. Also, can you also tell us, like, how to handle with the validation problem? Like, any exercises that we can practice?
Okay. All right. So that's a very important question. So understand that body image or self-esteem doesn't start in front of the mirror. It starts in the mind, right? It starts from all what you're
Okay.
thinking about yourself, right? The second thing is that uh, if you see yourself as a piece of body, like, or as a package of body parts, the curves, the six pack abs, and you just equate your self esteem to body parts, right? Probably you are evaluating self in a wrong way. Try to have a holistic, have a look at yourself as a whole package. Your personality, your attitude, the way you carry, the thinking patterns that you have. But if you're constantly worried about getting a perfect body image, probably you're going to struggle for long. So understand you're a wholesome thing. You're just not your body, right? The second thing is that, third thing, what I feel is that, uh, like, if I ask anyone here, is everyone around you, is anyone really perfect? Right? The idea of having this perfect body, perfect hair, perfect features, perfect abs, a perfect muscular body, is it really happening? Probably not, right? Nobody is perfect. So if you're really pretty, if you have like great features and stuff like that, probably you're struggling with something else, right? Probably you have other sets of complexes. So I heard in this interview that Anushka Sharma, actress in Bollywood, she has this. I don't know what I just read from somewhere, and she actually
Okay.
told in an interview that she needs to be constantly reminded by her assistant that just remind me that I look beautiful, right? Imagine, now there are a lot of actors like these who also have their own set of complexes, but we feel by their exterior that they are happy. A perfect face means a perfect life. So I would say stop equating these two, because it doesn't really exist. That's an unhealthy equation that we're setting for ourselves, and unhealthy expectations that we have, right? The third thing is that, uh, you're sharing. What happens is people just upload photos which are constantly measuring. Like I
Yes.
said, you're actually using social media as a measuring tool for your self worth. I would say stop doing that. Purely or point blank,
Okay. I think that's going to be very difficult for many people.
it's there has to be a start. Someday if it's actually negatively evaluating, you're feeling so bad seeing someone else's picture, rather don't see it. Simple as that. Just block them. Unplug yourself from social media once a while, and don't, it's like, the thing is that the moment you enter into social media, you're having a comparison trap for yourself. You're entering into a comparison trap, I would say, right? So I should have this kind of top, or I should have gone to this cafe, or I should have worn this kind of a jean, or whatever. That is an endless things that we compare ourselves on social media, right? So be aware. If you don't want to like stop social media, at least be aware about what you're perceiving. The thing is that it's a fake world. Right? As I said before, it's a transaction thing. You like my picture, I like your picture. If you don't like my picture, I won't like your picture. So half of the time, people aren't even actually looking at you. They just drop, just press the heart button. How easy it is. It just happens. So stop seeking fake likes, fake comments. Don't buy it. I would say don't buy it. Second, that you do not. The third, I would say, don't allow 1,000 people to judge you. Have that five, what we call as primary circle, right? Five of them in your life. If you really want to seek validation, seek from them. If you really want to seek personal feedback, seek from people who really care about you, who really know you, who really value you, who are your well-wishers, right? That's something which I feel that we need to focus on, the primary circle rather than thousands and lakh of people. Do we really care about them, or do they really care about us? So that doesn't make sense at the end of the day. So be mindful about that, right? What validation and from whom you're actually seeking, right? The third is, I would say, accept your flaws. So what activity that you can do is sit with yourself and write all the negative beliefs you have about yourself.
Okay.
It could be in the form of physical appearance, it could be in the form of anything, any trait of yours which you really don't like, right? And rate it from a scale of 1 to 10. Okay? What you do is just, if you say, I don't have great hair, for it, and on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the highest, you rate yourself, how much? Okay, so 7, I don't really have good hair. Just do that rating to have a clear understanding of what identify what is wrong in you, what you feel is wrong in you, and then yourself to fair perspective. Then again, reevaluate. Okay, so is it big in my head, or is it that I actually feel? So if I say that I have hair, is it that I'm actually comparing my hair with someone else, and because of that I feel it, or it's just the inherent thing that I have started to develop about that? So that's something we can practice, right? The third, I would also add on to the fact that when you're listing your negatives, list your positives. Why is that? Half of the time we're highlighting the negatives. Why do we feel that all the positives that we have is all forgotten? Because we're so focused, we see the negatives from a magnified lens, right? And that's where we are not being fair to ourselves, right? So I would, don't let your, mind play with the body image that you have. Just accept whatever flaws you have. Don't seek perfection, right? Do not use social media as a measuring tool. I cannot emphasize on this enough. And what I feel is surround yourself with people who really compliment you in a genuine way, and even they value it in a negative way, because you will know that their opinion matters at the end of the day. So that's where I feel that you can start to work on. And also, okay, so as you would see, there are a lot of people, Bollywood actors, like what we call as Oprah Winfrey. We have Bharti, who's the comedian here, Bharti Singh, and we have Abdul Kalam. We have so many people who had different color complexions, who were not have an appropriate body weight. So do we remember them for their looks, or do we actually remember for the, right? it's at the end of the day, it's the first impression. So your looks is the first impression, but what you speak out of your mouth, what attitude that you have with you while you're having conversation with someone, I think that creates an actual impact. So it's the 5% that I'm saying is the body, physical appearance that would matter. But the 95% is the person that you really the heart that you possess. That's what we say. So be aware about these concepts. Have an attitude of self-acceptance. I think that's where we can start. I think that's the start. Yeah. So that's
Okay. Nowadays, it's become very superficial. Everything, there's a lot of pressure from the society itself. There's so many social norms, like this is how it should be and this is how it should be. So how do we, escape or so that we don't succumb into the pressure that is, given by the society?
Yeah, okay. So escape is not the route that we have to go for. Right? That's what I would start with. We can't escape. You can't run away from things. I would say build healthy self-concept. So yes, that's true that our society has has idealized the concept of beauty. It's fair, whether you're being fair, whether having a good height, you should just look exactly the way that advertisement is, showing and portraying the lady or the guy like, right? And now that we're aware that these things are not very healthy, they're pretty much wrong. So just knowing the fact that this is not really true is the start to deal with awareness is, I think, the start to deal with later on the action plan. So I know even now, if I see an advertisement and a very perfect man or a woman is being flashed on that image, I wouldn't really care because I know at the end of the day what it is. It's their job. You have to understand that Bollywood actors or people who are doing advertisements, it's their job to look perfect, it's their job to look nice. But if you ask them, it's a task for them. They might not really enjoy.
Yeah.
Right? How you would see heroines, there are so many videos that people are really contouring and putting layers and layers and layers of makeup to look that pretty, right? So it's their job. So there's no point comparing yourself with them. There's no point. It's just a pointless comparison that you will be, indulging into. So that's it. And if you feel that, voice your own opinion. That I've seen that even in the houses, parents, as I said before, they put a lot of pressure on children to be like just perfect, especially before the marriage age, or even the little kids are being now victimized with a lot of things that they have their own accounts. I would say kids have their 5-year, 6-year kids have their own social media accounts, and that's where this ideal sense of physical starts to develop in a child, which is pretty much wrong. We are sending the wrong idea of it. So even the parents, even at houses, do not use that kind of language that we have. It's fine. Even the parents should talk about it's okay to not be perfect. They should have discussions.
Yes.
You should have discussions with your friends like that. If you're struggling with it, talk about it. Talk about it. That I feel.
Okay. So also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just the appearance that children are being compared with. It's the commonest example that they say is Sharma ji ka beta. Something like that. So so what about that? It's always being compared, let's say academically or anyways. So what about that? Shouldn't parents, stop doing that, and how to, give a good outlook on it?
Okay, so Sharma ji ka ladka is a very Gupta ji ka ladka, Sharma ji ka ladka. I get the point that the comparison is, we are victimized because of that when parents have start to talk about it. Now understand that Sharma ji ka ladka and your life has not been the same. The journey that you both are on, it's not the same. right? They have their own set of experiences, their own set of challenges and whatnot that they are experiencing. But what we see is the perfect scorecard or anything like that. So beyond those, so what we're comparing the whole house on the basis of that scorecard of 95%. Beyond that, we don't know what is happening in the life. So just
Okay. So anything else that you'd like to emphasize?
okay, just that simply that whoever is struggling with low self-esteem, body image, low self-confidence, there's always, first of all, don't allow anyone to measure you and what kind of a person you are or what kind of life you can have. Just don't allow it. Sometimes we just simply allow it, and that just hampers. So first of all,
Okay.
it's in your hands that who you really want to allow to make the difference in your life and your self-opinion. That's something that I feel it's a strong thing to do. So have that circle of yours. Um, 5, 4 maximum parents or family, and if you feel that, secondly, when you said that parents are doing an impact, talk to them, talk about them, talk to them about it, right?
Yeah.
Tell them, this really really hurts me. You saying these words to me really affects how I feel about myself. So have those discussions rather than avoiding and escaping and neglecting. At least let them know, because parents are also not perfect, right? They can have their own set of mistakes. They can be flawed with the parenting, right? So if you feel that having a discussion and making them aware about it, probably that's a good way to go. So have those conversations and try not to run from it. And, believe in yourself, know your strengths, harness those, work on those, build upon those, and accept that you are just as human as anybody. You can be just as flawed, and I embrace it. Accept it. That's the way I think self-acceptance is the route to adopt. So that's it.
Okay. We'll look for questions. Guys, if you have any questions, please post in the comments so that there was one question. It says, 1 minute, I'm just trying to find it.
Yeah.
Guys, also post if you have questions, so we'll take them quickly. Okay, so there was something like, I feel like I'm nothing. What can I do about it? I can't find the question exactly, but this was the essence of the question.
That you feel like you're nothing. All right. So
Yeah.
how to deal about your ego issues. All right. So about that. So if you feel you're nothing, is it really so? Or is it that we're being too harsh on ourselves? Number one. And if you're sitting here and you're talking about you're in a discussion, you're attending that thing, probably it tells that you're very much willing to make a self-improvement. So I feel that the person who's actually struggling with something, you're sitting here and talking about it, tells me that you're a very willful person who's looking for self-improvement and you've not lost that hope. So, just think on it. Am I being like really, is that feeling overpowering what I actually feel about myself? So just sit and evaluate, what am I stressed?
Okay.
Am I not really good at anything? So just questioning in a proper perspective, I think that's where, so you're probably not nothing. Okay.
Okay. So there's another question that says, is having a high self-esteem a problem?
Yes. Yes. So that is a big issue if you're having a high self-esteem problem. You're over-exaggerating your strengths that you might get blind to the weaknesses that you have. So having a high self-esteem doesn't mean that you don't have any flaws. Right?
Yeah.
And that superior image that you would set for yourself would end up eating you at the end. That would end up eating yourself. Probably it would hamper your relationships, or probably you would think you're the best in the world, which probably is not really true. So I think having a fair perspective, a balanced sense of self-esteem. So it's good to know your strengths, but it's also good to know your weaknesses and embracing both of them very equally. And that's where you can balance, you know, having a balanced sense of self-esteem. So that's okay.
Okay. There is another question that says, does practicing positive self-affirmation works?
Yes. So, when person is who's struggling with some body image issues, so we tell them, write it somewhere, put it in your, um, uh, you know, put it in front of yourself or as a cover picture on your mobile that, you're good, you're great, I'm pretty, I'm this and that. So practicing those things is good, but feeling is also is very important. So I'm saying I'm pretty. Would it change the feeling? Probably not. Right? But it's actually absorbing what you're saying. So if you're practicing positive affirmations, I think feel along. Just don't say it for the sake of saying it. That's where it would really start to work. Yeah.
Okay, so that was beautifully answered. And there's one more that says, should we really think about what others think about us, or like, should we accept what they think or just neglect them?
Okay. Filter. I would say call it a filter system. So first of all, filter whom is it coming from? Is the person really authentic? Then, if they're saying that you're
Mm-hmm.
bad, or if they say that you're not good enough, then okay, they've said that they've done their job. Sit with yourself and question along. Am I not really that good? Am I not good enough? Is it? Is it that I don't have anything which is good in me? So filter. So once you have a question, don't just simply accept it, but
Mm-hmm.
if I would say indulge in self-analysis and then understand whether you really have to reject their opinion or accept their opinion. And if you do so, take it in a positive stride and take it into a route of self-improvement rather than taking it as an ego attack or a personal attack on your self-esteem. So don't make it a permanent dent. Don't make a comment as a
Yes.
dent. So that's where yeah.
Okay, so there's one more that says, how do you personally balance your self-esteem when you fail?
How do you personally balance your self-esteem when you fail? Okay, so failure is again a part of your life, right? You cannot have a life without failure. First, get that. You would fail. You cannot succeed all the time. You can't be perfect all the time. You can't be best all the time. You're human. You make errors. So just a reminder about that. Yeah, you can make an error. It's fine. But allowing yourself to define with equating yourself again with failure equals to me, then that's a problem. So failure is not equal to
Okay.
part and parcel of your life that comes and goes, but you step ahead and move on. So that's where I feel that you can balance.
Okay. And there's one more question. It's like, let's say, especially during the lockdown, many people are feeling very unproductive, and because of that, it's leading to a very low self-esteem. So how can they deal with that?
I would say stop indulging into a lot of self-analysis during this lockdown. What is happening is that people have an
Okay.
empty mind, which is actually not treating them well. So everything that they have, every wrong that they have done in their life is just coming in bits and pieces during the lockdown in their mind. So I would say, do not indulge in self-analysis. So if you're having a negative thought about yourself, then I think add a positive thought about it too. Why is that when we're indulging in self-analysis, it's only negative in nature, right? Let's be fair to ourselves. So when you're actually writing down a negative thing about yourself, then add a positive one. Keep it balanced, and hence that then the feeling of the lowness that you're getting would start to get balanced and eventually would vanish away. So that's where you can start with.
Okay. So there's one more question that says, what to do when one is constantly reminded of their flaws that cannot be corrected by the people in one's private circle? Like you said, we can, go to our private circle and talk to them about it. But what if the private circle themselves are the ones that are, constantly uh,
Yeah. Okay. So I'll ask a question to the person who has just raised this one. That are you sitting in the right circle? Okay. Are you really sitting with the right people? So if these are the people who are constantly reminding of how bad you are, probably you're not sitting with the right. I don't know, like I'm not the judge of it, but that's what my experience tells. That evaluate who you're actually around, right? So, or either if they're actually highlighting the positives about you as well as negatives, probably it's good to go. But and second is that whenever you're getting feedback from whomever it is, as I said, that put that filter. Please put that filter. And you know how that filter would work? Filter would work only when you know who you really are.
okay.
So that's why, first of all, know who you really are. What are your flaws? And if someone then tells you, this is also your flaw, so that you evaluate yourself on that. So first, start with your self-evaluation, and then go to people and seek validation, and go to the right people to seek validation. That's something which I would emphasize on this one.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I don't think there are any more questions. And the session, also the participants, they were being very interactive. I can see so many comments being flooded. And so thank you so much for, yeah.
Thank you,
So it was
Parusha,
very
for
nice
being
to
such
talk to
a
you.
great host. And thank you, everyone who has joined in. I hope the session was a little fruitful, and I hope that if you're struggling with self-esteem issues, that's all right. It's not the end of the world. You can definitely improve on. And yeah, so thank you, Parusha, for having me here today too.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed the session, so I really hope the others also did. Okay, then, ma'am, take care and bye.
Take care, Parusha. Right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.